And welcome back to High Noon live on LinkedIn. And if you've been watching, I'm chatting to Nikki Robotham. So we, before the break, started speaking about finding flow. But before we get going and really speak about some practical tips, I just want to invite you to put questions in the chat box. And should it be a real humdinger of a question, for sure, we're going to treat you with a few little gifts, and those will be surprises. So please make this conversational between you guys and ourselves, and let's really look at what lands for us, what makes a difference. Energy is everything. So Nikki, as we were saying before the break, is that this real pause for potency I love. And what I've just thought about that I didn't plan to say, but I'm listening to a lot of Brené Brown at the moment. I'm a certified Brené Brown trainer, and she's taking 4 months off. Closing her office for 14 weeks and paying her staff, which I think is outstanding. And just, she says, Netflix binging and reading and sleeping and swimming, and that's what she'll be doing. So we need to pause for potency. And one of your bullet points here in your book is something that I teach, micro breaks during the day. So I say to people actually to just give the brain a breather. Perhaps stand up at your desk, do 10 squats, do that every hour or 90 minutes. But those tiny breaks, leave your screen, look out the window, 20 seconds, look to the sky. So those kinds of tiny breaks. The other thing that I really love here is your journal prompts. And this is particularly what I battle with. As I look at that journal, I think there's so much happening upstairs here. Good stuff, but it's a washing machine. So your journal prompts here is, they're beautiful. The first one that I'm reading, what constitutes play without purpose for you? What would you answer to that if you were writing your journal today?
So for me, and over the last 3 years, I've explored so many versions of play in my life. And it can be anything from jumping in the puddles when it's raining, to building adult Lego, to paint by numbers, to just, going on an adventure without a purpose. We've forgotten all of that really brings that sense of creativity, that innovation back into our lives. And for me, what I love about play is it creates that limbic space where we can bring the unconscious into the conscious. And that's often when I solve the problems I often didn't even know I was planning to solve, but the puzzle pieces come together. And that's why play without purpose, because I think we've forgotten that. Especially in work.
Absolutely. So burnout, we know, is up between 50 and 60%, depending on what stats you read worldwide. Suicide is up. The use of antidepressants is up. Insomnia, it's about 6 to 7 people out of 10 are battling insomnia. That's according to the World Health Organization. So people are really highly strung, and it's not surprising, given world wars, etc. So the art of play is really what we should be looking for.
Absolutely.
What I also, we're going to go into your other book as well, but I just love this book. And what I love here as well is the fact that for some of us, we want to dabble in trying something. And if it doesn't fit, don't wear it. And for others, we want to go all in. I love the fact that you've got here, you can dabble in certain things and you give really practical advice. So here to release, whether it's dabble in deep breathing exercises or massage therapy. And then, of course, you could do TRE if you want to go all in, or cranial sacral therapy, or rolfing. So there's so many beautiful, very practical ways of finding flow and addressing and flipping stress in this book. So I'm going to say, let's start thinking about energy and how we master energy and really hormonally what changes, and then I'm going to bridge into your second book if you don't mind. And I've just heard in the break that you have a third book brewing. So Nikki, here we go, the serial author, which is so divine. But I often say to people when I'm coaching or facilitating a team workshop is, just notice your body when you're in a state of fear, or you're quite tense, or you're apprehensive, or any of those emotions. What is happening? Well, we do know biologically that cortisol is going boing, adrenaline, norepinephrine, all of those kinds of hormones. And yet when you're relaxed, we've got the dopamine, we've got the oxytocin. So we really got to kind of tune in to what's happening in our bodies and what's happening energy-wise and vibrationally, and choose to change that state. So the last little stat that I want to give there that I'm really enjoying at the moment is that the brain fires off that neurochemical in 90 seconds. And then we choose as humans to hold on to that emotion, that feeling, that thought, for however long. Some people for decades. But actually, that emotion can just flow through you in 90 seconds. So do we read more about that kind of thing in Finding Flow, or do we read more about it in The Elegant Power? Is it The Elegant Power? I got the name right.
Embrace Your Elegant Power is the second book. But the more practical tips around that release of those stress hormones, release of the tension within our bodies, how we hold that, how we hold on to it, exactly to your point. A lot of that's actually the first step to finding flow, out of my 7 steps to finding flow in the first book, because it's so essential.
That's right, yes.
Because that's where we actually allow things to move through us. The problem is, and the cascade effect is when we hold on to it.
Yeah.
And I saw a lovely quote the other day, and they said, think about it as a glass of water. And it's your emotions are sitting in there, those thoughts, how we're anticipating things which trigger those stress responses. And someone said, put the water down, put the glass down.
Yep.
And even if you just recognize and own that this thought is there without judgment, and go, this doesn't serve me. This is not me.
Yep.
It's just an emotion that I'm having right now. And really starting to manage that piece. Because if we get that right from a self-ownership, from a sort of awareness perspective, the game can change.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we also have to do a lot of the modalities to help get all of the existing stress out, because there's a backlog. We forget about that.
Yeah.
If we haven't been intentional, there is a backlog. But it's really where we change how our bodies feel, how we create that sense of safety, which then allows us to access those juicy hormones which we just love.
Yep. So after the break, I want to just chat about how I am speaking to my grandchildren about this stuff. And then let's go on to your second book.